Hey guys, let me know what you think by liking and commenting, and it really helps me and this channel out when you subscribe, so please click that button. Thanks a bunch. So I think I pre-ordered these things about 21 and a half years ago or something like that, these Walthers Mainline Amtrak Horizon coaches. And they finally arrived today. I mean, kudos for Walthers getting these actually done. Unlike one other company with a Commodore Vanderbilt, which I would like to eventually see, which I think I've had on pre-order now for about 25 years, something like that. Little did I know that these would arrive around the same time as the Comet coaches by Rapido. And in fact, I've already got another set of these coaches on order from Rapido. So I'll be able to do a direct comparison between the Horizon and Comet coaches for you because they were effectively the same things. There are some changes that were made to these Horizons for long distance service, or at least intercity service, but otherwise they're the same thing. And I can show you the differences here in a second. Let me get this first coach out of here. I bought these in an earlier livery because, well, I actually wasn't sure how I was going to use them. I do have a locomotive that's set aside, but I might mate these with an AEM7. I'm not entirely sure, so I am going to run these with a locomotive for the running session today, but I'm not sure if that's the locomotive that I'm going to permanently attach to these 5 cars or not. All right, as we can see, it has sort of the standard Walther sprung diaphragm at the end here. Again, these cars are kind of featureless. They're probably designed to be that way. They're designed to be made quickly and cheaply. And also this slab-sided squarish footprint here can maximize the space inside. I mean, of course, the Amfleets are difficult to beat. They're sort of works of art, and it's going to be difficult to compete with that. But these are pretty nice either way. They still look pretty elegant, I think. They certainly look metallic. Walthers actually has pretty good metallic paint jobs, and I expected these to be clear and even, and they are. I don't have any complaints about that. So there's not a whole lot to say there, I think. The only really distinctly different car is the dining car. All the rest of these are the same, and as you saw before, they give you decals to customize these. I never really do that because I don't really care, and I kind of hate decals to begin with, so I'm just not going to bother. But the food coach here is the one that's going to be different. So overall, these are about what you expect from Walthers Mainline. They're more than usable, but they're clearly designed for the hobbyist in mind, not the rivet counter. But I think for, my needs, which is 3 foot or better, they'll work great. I'm going to actually use a direct comparison between this and the Rapido Comet cars to kind of spell out what I'm seeing here. So hang on one second. Generally speaking, the underbodies are a little bit flexible, but I don't think it's going to cause any problems going down the track. You won't hear it clicking or creaking, and you can see that one of the areas they really skimped on was the underbody details. And if you look up the stairs, when you see it, there's actually just air there. Even though my second run Amtrak cars haven't come in from Rapido, I think these are pretty close. As you can see, the details generally line up here. I think the Horizon/Comet cars are good for Walthers because they don't really have a lot of details. As you can see, the diaphragms are different. I don't know which ones are more prototypical, but otherwise the ends look pretty much the same, except Rapido has these lights here, and they have just a lot more hose and MU hookups, that kind of thing. Unless it's the cab car, I'm not going to look at the front or the back of the car, so those things don't matter a whole lot to me, but I know they do to a lot of you, so that's absolutely fine. Flipping them over here, obviously, right, this is where Rapido shines. I think outshines almost all competitors, if not all, is their underbody detail. The undercarriage is just a mere afterthought, and the only thing they really have on the undercarriage are things that you're going to see if you're viewing it from eye level, and that's like the air tank here, that kind of thing. And it's a little bit different, it's a little bit offset. I don't know which one's right, so these may be both correct prototypically. Viewed dead from the side, I mean, they look pretty much the same. You can see they have these small details. The trucks are different, and I'm wondering if that's because the Amtrak is designed for intercity service, so they have more robust trucks, whereas the commuter NG transits are not, so they have kind of these open frame. I don't know, maybe one or the other is they just have the wrong truck altogether, but I'm thinking at least Rapido certainly did their homework, and I'm assuming that Walthers probably did too. Right, it looks like what is this, a radiator here, something like that. They're different sizes sizes, but again, maybe that's correct for all I know. What's nice about Walthers is they have trucks that actually have pickups on them already if you want to light these things. But in order to do that, you're going to have to just simply do a pry and pull on the outer shell, and then you're going to have to pull up these seats in order to get to those contacts. Shouldn't be any problem at all. As you can see, the seats are one piece, one color plastic, but they'll look nice, I think, if you put people in them. Unfortunately, North American cars have such small windows, right? Can't really see a whole lot. I'm not an expert on either of these, but one thing I noticed is that the seats line up differently between the Comet and the Horizon car. If you look at the Comet here, they join directly in the center and go out pretty much in the center of the windows. The Horizon coach, on the other hand, they don't quite meet exactly in the center. It doesn't matter which way you flip this is how it looks. They're spaced differently, but this may make sense because these were designed for different purposes. It's possible that the seat pitch was different for each one, and they may have misaligned like this. If anyone knows what happened in real life, let me know in the comments. Let me put this up on the scale for you. I don't think too many of you are going to be running super long consists with this, but we want to make sure that it'll at least stay tracked all right. Passenger comes in at 7.2 ounces. Plop that back down on there to make sure I got a good reset. Sure enough, that's just right around 200 grams, so it should be about right. Maybe a tad on the light side, but I don't think it'll be any problem. Plop one of the coaches down, and it's just slightly less, just barely 7.1, so they're effectively the same. It's 200 grams, 7 ounces a piece. Shouldn't be an issue. These have the standard Walthers close coupling system, but what I've noticed with these is they don't hold the coupler very well, and they have a tendency to be all kinds of weird heights. In fact, that's what we're seeing here. You see how it droops down a little bit? Now, that's actually not where the armature actually physically sits. It's just that there's so much slop, it wants to come down. And actually, right now, my coupler gauge is a little bit high, so don't quite take this as gospel here. Let me get this coupler gauge. Okay, it's down now. And what I've noticed with Walthers, if you through normal use, they kind of rock and roll around, and they'll eventually come into the correct height because they'll basically just grab the coupler that they're coupled to, and they'll work out in the end. So they're not too bad on the pull, but where this could be a problem is if you back the train up, that has a tendency to kind of put slack back into the couplers, and they sort of fall or rise into their position. And when that happens, you can have a decouple. And it also happens when you have an undulating track, but you have the train's a little bit herky-jerky. It can also sort of take these couplers and change their height. And when that happens, you can have a decouple once again. So you'll have to decide, look at this one. It's down. This is typical, but sometimes they actually ride high. But like I said, after the train rocks around a bit, they'll generally come into alignment. But of course, this can make coupling difficult. I mean, if you just have one that's so far off, you don't want to sit there and have to jiggle this and juggle it back and forth until it finally does this. And I've had a few Walthers that I've actually had to replace the couplers with offset couplers. You can see here how when I put two of the cars together, they're off, but they're not hideously off. And just sort of the normal jiggling of the train will bring them back into proper alignment. So just note that this is kind of a problem. In fact, this is a problem with a lot of Walthers cars. So you'll just have to decide whether this is okay for you or not. All right, my overall thoughts. These are nice cars. It's such a simple design. It's really hard to just point out tons of flaws. I mean, it's a slab side, relatively flat roof. There's not a whole lot that can go wrong here, and Walthers has taken advantage of that. If you're like me and the 3-foot rule is your rule, then these will be perfectly fine. But if you want a lot of detail, you already realize, right, that Walthers Mainline, it may not be the correct cars for you. But hopefully I've given you something to think about if you'd rather pay for the more expensive Rapido ones because of their detail. I don't think anyone would blame you for that. But if you just want cars that look good running around, I think these will be perfect for you. So hopefully this helps you out. Pulling this consist will be a General Electric E60CH, which is one of my favorite locomotives, and I think they line up with these cars great. And its running mate today will be an Amtrak Flexliner. As always, I appreciate you watching, and hey, please subscribe and like this video if in fact you do. I'd love to read your thoughts on this consist. Anything you might have seen that you like, dislike, hey, let me know. Until next time, happy model railroading. Take care. Catch you later.